Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you guys are doing all right. Today we're going to go ahead and continue on with our chapter 4. And once again, just like last time's video when we talked about medians, it says 5.2. However, we're really still in chapter 4. Today we're talking about a very similar topic to medians, but with slight differences. So they're completely different concepts, but they look very similar. So let's make sure we can distinguish between medians, which again was from a vertex or a segment which comes from a vertex of the triangle to the midpoint of its opposite side. Now we're actually going to talk about altitude. So let's go ahead and first find out what we're doing today. So in today's lesson, we're going to go ahead and identify and use altitudes and altitudes of a triangle, and then determine the lengths of an altitude of a triangle. All right. So let's go ahead and define what an altitude is. So an altitude is a segment drawn from a vertex that is perpendicular to the opposite side. Okay, and then just as a little bit more of a definition, an altitude can be on the interior or exterior of a triangle. Okay, and all that means is basically just like what I'm about to show you here on these two pictures. So triangle ABC is right there. Okay, I'm being asked to draw an altitude from the vertex B. Okay, and notice if I draw a vertex, or I'm sorry, if I draw an altitude from B, I have to go to the opposite side, which is AC, and I have to draw something that's directly perpendicular. All right, so directly perpendicular would be right there. Notice that creates a little 90-degree angle here. Okay, and that green line that I just highlighted right here, that falls on the inside of the triangle. Okay, but that might not always be the case. Let's look at the other one. So let's take a look at triangle ABC here, right? And once again, I'm being asked to draw a altitude from B to the opposite side of AC. Well, the problem is that AC is kind of to the left of B. So if I draw a line that's straight down, a straight perpendicular line like right here, that's not going to fall inside of the triangle. But that's okay, because it still creates a 90-degree angle right here. It is exactly perpendicular to this side. Okay, so that is okay to have an altitude that falls on the outside. All right, so an altitude is a segment drawn from a vertex that is perpendicular to its opposite side. And then the altitude can be in the interior or the exterior of the triangle. It all depends on what kind of triangle you're given. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump straight to a few example problems here, guys. So let's go ahead and read through this. It says the vertex of triangle ABC are -1, -2. So let's actually go ahead and start drawing right away. -1, -2. And right there is going to be A. And then we're going to have B, which is 2, 5. And then finally, we're going to have C, which is 6, 1. All right, so let's go ahead and draw our triangle in by connecting all of our dots. All right, that's my triangle ABC. It says find the altitude from point A to BC and then find the length of its altitude. So we're going to be making an altitude from A, from this vertex right here, to the opposite side, okay? And just kind of as a preliminary drawing, we're going to make something that looks something like this that makes a 90-degree angle, okay? We just don't know where that's going to fall yet. We have to follow our steps before we get to that point. All right, so let's see what we have to do. Step number 1 is sketch the triangle. Boom. Did that. Now it says find the slope of base BC. So I have to find the slope of this right here. Well, let's do it. If I go from B to C, I'm going to have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 4 and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 4, right 4 will reduce to -1 over 1. Whoops, sorry, I was trying to erase that. -1 over 1. This is my slope for line BC. Get this highlighted here. All right, awesome. We are done with that step. Let's move on to the next few steps. All right, whoops. Kind of erase my line there. There we go. All right, step number 3 says, find the slope of the line perpendicular to base BC. Okay, so this is something that we've done in the past. So, original slope of BC is -1 over 1, right? But we know that if we want something perpendicular, we need what? We need something that's opposite and reciprocal. So let's do it. What is the opposite of -1 over 1? Meaning the opposite sign. Well, that's a +1 over 1. And then the reciprocal would be just a flip version of 1 over 1. Cool thing about this is they're both just 1s. So the reciprocal is just going to be 1 over 1. So my new perpendicular slope is this right here. 1 over 1. And if you just wanted to write 1, that's totally fine. But I like to keep slopes as ratios. 1 over 1. Step number 4 is done. Now, step number 3. Now we move on to step number 4, which says use this perpendicular slope to sketch the altitude from point A to BC. All right, well, let's do it. Well, if my slope is 1 over 1, then from A, I'm going to go up 1, right 1, 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 right there. So if I draw my line, that's it, right there. That made my perfect 90-degree angle because those two are perpendicular, and I know that for a fact. Okay? And now I am done with step 4. And step 5 just says to find the point of intersection. So find where my altitude hit BC, and that would be right there at 4, 3. So 4, 3 would be my answer for step 5. And then finally it says find the distance between point A and the point of intersection on BC. So I have to find the distance. Well, okay, that shouldn't be that hard. This was, what did I say? This was 4, 3. So I have to find the distance between A and this new point right here. All right, we know how to do that. We just have to do the distance formula. So let's apply it. And just so we can recap, distance formula is x2 minus squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay? In this particular case, we have the numbers. Whoops, that was horrible. Square root. Alright, let's get my two numbers. Let me just write the coordinates for A because I totally forgot them. -1, -2. So it's -1, -2 are my coordinates for A. Alright, so I have my 2 points that I need to use. This point right here and this point right here. So I'm going to go ahead and call this x1, y1, this x2, y2. So x2 minus x1 would be what? It would be 4 minus 1. And then I would have y2 minus y1 would be 3 minus -2. This will become 4 minus the -1 is really plus 1. So 5 squared plus 3 minus the -2 is also another plus. This becomes d equals 25 plus 25. And finally, d equals the square root of 50. So my distance, I'm going to go ahead and write that in, equals distance of my altitude. Alright, so that was my distance from my altitude, and in this case, we made an altitude coming from A. Now notice that we can actually make different altitudes. We can make one coming from B and one coming from C. Very similar to how we did medians. Alright, so you can have 3 different ones. But in this case, they wanted us to do an altitude from point A, as they explained right here. Okay? Alright, those were our 6 steps, guys. And actually, what I want you guys to do is kind of close this area off right here, because I want to show you one extra step now. We might not use this, we might. Not sure yet, but I still want to show you guys what to do in case you're being asked to do this. Alright? We're probably not going to do it a lot today, but we are going to have you guys try this out for further either quizzes or tests, anything like that. We might expect you guys to know how to write the equation. So this is what I want you guys to do. Step 7. This is only if you're being asked to do this step, okay? But to determine the equation of the altitude. So if you're ever asked to write the equation of the altitude, this is what you need to do, okay? I'm going to write a little set of instructions here for you guys. Using the slope of the altitude and point A, point A, write the equation of the altitude, or the equation of the line, in slope intercept form. Okay, so let's see what I asked you guys to do. It says using the slope of the altitude, which we know what it is. Remember, we already found it in step number 3. It was 1 over 1, so I'm actually going to write that on the side. M equals 1 over 1, or in other words, it's just 1. All right, and point A. So a slope and a point, which is exactly what we need. So point A was -1, -2. We have to write something in slope-intercept form. All right. Well, what do I have? Well, I have a slope and I have a point. Do you guys remember what to use? Hopefully you guys are remembering this formula right here. This is something we did in the last chapter. That's your point slope form. All right, I have a slope. It's right here. My slope is 1. I have a point. It's right here. -1, -2. In other words, that is my x1, y1. So let's plug it in. Let's see, what do we get? We get y minus a -2 equals 1 parentheses x minus a -1. These obviously turn into pluses. Okay, So this is now going to have to get distributed. I get y plus 2 equals 1x plus 1. Subtract the 2 on both sides. We get y equals 1x minus 1. This is an extra step you may be asked to solve, guys. This is now the equation of the altitude from point A. Okay, that is the equation of the altitude from point A. Again, you might not always be asked that. I don't think they asked you that in this particular set of notes, but you might be asked to do that. So please keep that in mind. Alright guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and move on to the first example here. So this one's going to ask us to do the vertices of CMH, triangle CMH, are C equals 3, 6. So 3 is 3, 6. M is 6, 2. And H is 1, 2. Alright, so let's go ahead and right there. Alright, let me just make sure that that is correct. So 3, 6, 6, 2, and 1, 2. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and draw in our lines. Right there. And right there. Perfect. Alright, so it says find the length of the altitude from C to H. Well, we first have to find our altitude in order to find what the length of it is. So we first have to go through our steps. Our step 1 was, let me just recap. Step 1 was to sketch the triangle. Step 2 is to find the slope of the opposite side. Well, remember, we're finding the altitude from C to MH. So I need to find out what the slope, or I'm sorry, yeah, what the slope of that is right there. Okay, well, first off, that is a straight line. That's a straight horizontal line. So first off, I don't even need to calculate that slope. What's the exact opposite of a horizontal line? Well, a vertical line. Right there. You guys see that? That was actually pretty easy. Alright, so this is my... So again, you might be asking, well, how did you know to do that? Well, look at H and M. They're exactly side to side, right? It's a horizontal line right there. So the exact opposite of a horizontal line, which would make perpendicular, would be a straight vertical line. So I have now my my altitude. Okay, if I needed to find what the coordinates of the intersection point right there are, what would it be? Well, this is 3, 2. So my point of intersection is 3, 2. Just in case I get asked. In this particular case, this is wanted us to find the altitude from C to MH. So I'm going to go ahead and find the length of that altitude right now. To do that, I'm going to use my trusty formula. X2 minus 1 squared plus y2 minus y squared. Okay, I need to know what the point I'm going to use. Well, I'm definitely going to use point C, which is 3, 6. And I'm also going to use my mu point intersection, which is 3, 2. I'll call this my x1, y1, my x2, y2. Okay, let's do it. So x2 minus x1 would be 3 minus 3. And y2 minus y1 would be 6. This would be 0 squared plus negative 4 squared. This would just be 0 plus 16. D equals the square root of 16. And actually, if you guys know your perfect squares, this would just mean that D equals 4. So D equals 4. So the length of my altitude, length of altitude from C is 4. This is my final answer. Alright, that is my length of my altitude. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do one more with you guys, and then I'm going to have you guys try out the last one all on your own. Alright, next one says the vertices of XYZ are x is negative 3 comma 8. So let's go ahead and set that to negative 3 comma 8 is x. Negative 2 comma 1 is y. And then negative 6 comma negative 1 is z. Actually, I'm going to draw my y right over here. Alright, looks just like that. Let's go ahead and connect all my points. Alright, so let me just double check my points, make sure I have them right. Negative 3 comma 8 is correct, negative 2 comma 1, and negative 6 comma negative 1. Perfect. Alright, it says find the length of the altitude from y to xz. So from y to xz. Okay, so I'm going to have some sort of altitude that's going to look something like this. I don't know exactly where it's going to be yet, but that's exactly what I'm going to have. Okay, let's go ahead and do this now. All right. Well, first off, what do I need? I need to know what the slope of this line is so I can find something that's perpendicular. All right, well, let's find that slope. That would be up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So up 9 and right 1, 2, 3. So my slope for what is it, xz is up 9, right 3. In other words, 3 over 1. This is my slope. Now that's my slope for xz. What I really want is my new slope that is perpendicular. Okay? So my new perpendicular slope is going to be what? Well, remember, guys, it has to be opposite and reciprocal. So let's see. What is opposite and reciprocal of 3 over 1? That would be 1 over 3. And that's 3, negative 1 over 3. This is my new slope. Negative 1 over 3. In other words, down 1, right 3. Or exact opposite. Up 1, left 3. Doesn't matter which way you look at it. So, starting from y, I'm going to go, again, if you go down 1, right 3, you're going to end up on this side. So I don't want to be over there. So I could do the exact opposite. I can go up 1, left 3. This is my altitude right here. Once again, I made a 90-degree angle, so that is my altitude. All right. So I have my altitude. I'm all good to go. Now I just have to find its length. Well, first off, I need to know what the point of intersection is. My point of intersection, I'm going to abbreviate it right now. What? It is negative 5 comma 2. Awesome. This is my point of intersection. All right. Well, I have my point of intersection. I know what the coordinates of y are. Let's go ahead and find our distance. So let's go ahead and do it. We have b equals, what are my points? Let's see. Point of intersection and y. So I'm going to go ahead and call this 1, 2y2. So it's going to be what? Let's see. It's going to be x2 is 2 minus 5, and then 1 minus 2. Alright, so this is going to be negative 1 minus negative 5 is really just 3. So this is 3 squared plus negative 1 squared. So this is going to be 9 plus 1. In other words, the square root of 10. So the square root of 10 is our distance. Okay, so that is the length of our altitude. So that's where we're going to go ahead and write up here. Square root of 10 is our final answer. Now, I told you guys already that in this question, all they wanted us to do is find the length. Okay, but I want you guys to practice with writing the equation. Okay, I want you guys to know how to write the equation of that red line, that altitude that I have there. So what two things do I need? Well, I need to know the slope of it. Well, I already have it. It's right here. It's right here. I already have it. The slope of my perpendicular altitude is negative 1 over 3. And my point is the point that it's coming from. It's coming from y. That is negative 2 comma 1. Again, an x1, y1. Well, alright, then I have everything I need to write it in what? I can write it in point slope form. Let's do it. Well, actually, let me go ahead and use a different color. So let's do it. It's y minus y1 equals m x minus x. Alright, so this is going to be y minus 1 equals m x minus a negative 2. Whoops, my bad. What did I just do? My slope is negative 1/3. Sorry about that. And then it's x minus a negative 2, which is really just going to be plus 2. What do I do from here? Well, I distribute. Okay. This is going to be y minus 1 equals negative 1/3 x plus, or actually rather, x minus 2/3. Last thing I have to do is add 1, and you can do it on your calculator, guys. This is going to be negative 1/3 x plus 1/3. If you're having trouble adding those fractions right here, guys, that negative 2/3 plus 1, remember that 1 is the same thing as 3/3. So what's negative 2/3 plus 3/3? That's just like saying what's negative 2 plus 3. It's just 1. And in this case, it would just be 1/3. This is my final answer if I were being asked to write the equation. Alright, so again, didn't ask you that here. However, I do want you guys to get some practice with it. Alright, last one, guys. I want you guys to finish this one all on your own. You guys can try it out right now. Go ahead and pause the video. I'll come back and have the answer ready for you guys when you get back. Alright, so go ahead and stop the video right now and try it out on your own. Alright, guys, let's go ahead. So my triangle CAR is negative 3, 2 for my point C. 6 comma 10 for my point A. And 0 comma negative 5 for my point R. So if I make my sketch here, alright, there we go. That is my triangle. Let me just double check my coordinates again. Negative 3 comma 2, good. 6 comma 10, good. And 0 negative 5, perfect. Alright, so once again, like in the past, I'm being asked to find the length of the altitude. And in this case, they want us to know what the altitude is from C to the opposite side, which is AR, which is right here. So again, just as a starter, just to have an idea of what's happening, we're going to have to find some sort of a altitude right there. Alright, we don't know where it is yet. That's what we're going to find. So first off, my first step, just like in the past, I need to know what my slope is for AR. Alright, so let's go ahead and find what that slope is. So starting from R all the way up to A, let's find it. So my slope for AR is what? That would be up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So up to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 15 over 6, that actually will reduce to have a 3 in common. So this is going to be 5 over 2. So my slope of AR is going to be 5 over 2. Alright, we have our first slope that we're going to need to find our new perpendicular slope. Well, remember, for perpendicular, it has to be opposite or reciprocal. So our new perpendicular slope has to be the opposite reciprocal of 5 over 2. And hopefully you guys can figure that out. That is going to be negative 2 over 5. Negative 2 over 5. So once again from C, let's go ahead and draw our altitude. I have to go down 2 to the right 5. Looks like it's right there. I can now draw a straight line from C to that point, and I officially now have my altitude. Alright, and now I'm going to go ahead and just write the coordinates of my altitude. It's 2, 0. So my point of intersection is 2, 0. Alright, and the reason why that's important is because I'm going to need that in a second. Because what I want to do now is find the length. Well, in order to find the length, I need the point. I need my C is negative 3 over 2, and I need that new coordinate, which is 0. This is going to be x1, y1, this is 2, y2. Calculate our distance here. So x2 minus y1, x2 minus x1 is 2 minus a negative 3, and y2 minus y1 is 0 minus 2. 2 minus a negative 3 is really like a plus 3. So this is going to be 5 squared plus negative 2 squared. 5 squared is 25. Negative 2 squared is 4. For a final answer of 29. Square root of 29 is our distance, or rather the length of our altitude. Okay, so this, if you guys just want to write it in, this is the length of our altitude. And I always just like to write what altitude it is, because again, you can have multiple altitudes here. This is the altitude from C. That's where it asked us to start it from. Altitude from C. Alright guys, so hopefully you guys got some very similar answers here. Again, if you for some reason didn't, make sure you guys go ahead and reach out to us. Get some help from us, get some help from your teacher, any aid, anything like that. Alright? Alright guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the video for now, and then we will move on to the next part of our chapter. Alright guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.